These dogs were out there. I never saw this one. Poor old thing limping. Probably got hit by a car. I hope he sees the food I left for these other ones. These people dropped off some food in that gray truck. They didn't even live here. The people do feed them. I went into that dollar store. They had better food than I thought. I get them canned sometimes. But he was telling me that people feed them all the time. That's good. I just wonder why they're so skinny. Probably have worms. Be just kicking it. There, they're eating. That's good. You be kicking it? Hey, I don't like that. You be kicking it. You have a good day. You be kicking it. They're real skittish. Yeah, that's how I am, Lyrica. Loner. That other poor dog's limping over there. I kick it by myself. Yeah, that's nice. People are kind to animals. You be kicking it, all right? That's good. I've been kicking it. That's good. I gave him a whole bag of food and 2 cans. Poor things. Yeah, I'd be kicking it, Lyrica. That shit damn near drove me crazy. Crazier. I just said I'd be kicking it. I'm gonna go see if I can get a booster shot so I don't die of COVID. I'd just be kicking it. Daisy's kicking it. Go on, hon. Go on, hon. Jump. Daisy's overweight. She's get too many treats. She'd be kicking it. Daisy be kicking it. Trying to debate whether I'm going to get a taco or not. I got a bunch of stuff at home to eat, but I don't really feel like messing with it. Just don't want to be kicking it. Oh yeah, I knew better than to go to a mall today. I was at that mall yesterday and it was busy. And they had all these special things put in the ground so you could only like drive one way. Forget that. No thanks. I'd be going to this Walmart, kicking it. This Walmart sucks. It's not as good as the one in Madison. But it's better than nothing. I'd just be kicking it with my Daisy. We just be kicking it. Oh yeah, gas down to $2.96. I mean, you know, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I'm driving a Toyota. Yep, getting that Hemi. I think next week. It's not a Hemi. It's a dual supercharged big block. I'd just be kicking it. Hey, Caroline. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get a booster shot. I doubt that I can, but as long as I'm over here. I'd just be kicking it. Daisy kicking it. Yeah, I haven't been around. I haven't been feeling good, man. I got something wrong with me. Try and figure it out. I think I got some gastrointestinal issue. Yeah, this Walmart isn't bad, but this is a crappy Walmart. You know? Daisy likes kicking it. Dad gets her treats there. They saw other dogs that don't have a good life. Nice day down here. It's 60 today. Well, I'm going to run in here real quick. This Walmart. I doubt that I can get a shot today, but at least maybe I could schedule one. Hey, Blue, how you doing? Those poor stray dogs were out there. 3 of them. There's one I never saw before, a limping poor dog. And while I was there, a couple that were just driving through got off to get gas and looking for something to eat. Saw the dogs and went and bought some food. That was sweet of them. So they got at least a good dinner for a couple days. The guy at the dollar store told me that people feed them, so that's good. Daisy, you kicking it, hon? Daisy loves just sitting like this and relaxing. She'd do it for 10 hours straight. She'd just chill, doing surveillance. Yeah, I think people feed them. I mean, that's what I know the lady from that wig shop does it once in a while, and this guy at the dollar store said people do. So I don't think like they're starving or anything. They look skinny, but that could be for worms. I get them the puppy food, the good stuff, because it's got extra nutrients in it. Because I'm sure they're not getting like the most ideal diet. There's water all over the place. Rained like hell last night. Big puddles of water. Yeah, that's that same one when I first found those dogs. That same one. They don't want to get too close to people, though, that's for sure. I don't blame them. She lives there. She lives in Traverse City. Yeah, 60's good. It's a nice day, I think. Daisy be kicking it. You kicking it, hon? Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I do bring them water in the summertime. Look at this Volkswagen convertible. I'm going to try and get up to Michigan. If I had a couple doctor's appointments and Marty was gone, I'm going to leave Daisy here when I go up there. I think I'm going to go up there like around the 17th. Spend my Christmas up there. Yeah, I didn't like it to begin with. I skip it from the start. I don't like ham. And if I never ate another piece of turkey, it'd be too soon. I don't like dressing. I don't like cranberries. Daisy just be kicking it. Yeah, the weather's still warm. I was kind of missing Michigan. They got slaughtered with snow up there in that west side, northwest side. Then it gets warm again, then all melts. I mean, it's still a bullshit winter. Hey, Chris. Here's a really good pizza place here, actually. It's good. I gotta throw away this dog bag, too. Yeah, just kind of taking it easy. Marty had a couple of his grandkids over last night. I had fun messing around with them. I never was around young kids like that too much. They're fun to do stuff with. They color books and stuff like that. I play with toys with the one a little bit. It's tractors. Starting to drizzle a little bit. It was supposed to rain all day today, and it doesn't look like it is. Looks like it mostly dried up. Daisy just kicking it. We used to do a lot of surveillance like this. See how you can see really well out the side view mirror. rather than like face someplace. Just sit here and video through the mirror. Perfect. This is Daisy's favorite kind of day. If you get a chance, I'm reading a lot about snakes. Here's this kook on YouTube. It's a 6-year-old video, but look up diamondback rattler. Eastern diamondback rattler pet, and you'll see this nut job with one around his neck. He eventually was killed by it, but it was quite a while after the video was made. He died back in August, sure enough. Bit by an eastern diamondback rattler. Yeah, the bones are good for you. I'm reading this book on vultures. It's pretty good. Yeah, I've had a million, man. I did so much surveillance, ridiculous. That's why I hate it so much now. I think doing surveillance myself and supervising surveillance cases, it's about 230,000 surveillances. I've thought of putting some of those videos up on YouTube and just blurring out the faces. Yeah, I got caught a few times. It's just one-man surveillance is difficult. Even when the feds and stuff do it, they got like 8 cars out there, a helicopter, a drone, remote cameras. I mean, if somebody's paranoid to begin with and they think they're going to be investigated, it's hard, between traffic and not getting too close. It's always like you're hedging what to do. It's not like you get on their ass and you don't let them get too far ahead of you. It's the opposite. And once you get caught, you're fucked. I've had that happen before. I've driven 500 miles, gotten busted within 10 minutes when I was there, and just had to give up the surveillance. Now, a lot of companies will make excuses and, say they didn't want to be suspicious and get busted, so they stayed at the house and waited for the person to come back. When what really happened is they got caught and they didn't want to eat a whole day and nothing to do 500 miles away from home. Yeah, I did a few of those early on when I first started, but most states are no fault now, so other than just pure curiosity, it doesn't do you any good in court to catch your spouse fucking around. And it's expensive. If people are married, having affairs, those are very, finite times they can get together. And, you can drop a ton of money and not get anything. And the average person doesn't want to shell out that kind of cash without results, and they don't understand surveillance. So if you don't have, 20 minutes of them fucking on top of a picnic table in a park, they just think you're the biggest stooge that ever did PI work in the world. They just don't get it. I think that show they had on there, a lot of that was fake. Daisy's doing surveillance right now. Daisy, what are the results of the surveillance on? Yeah, it's staged because you couldn't afford to like waste that kind of time with no results, especially in this day and age. I mean, if there's a lull in the action, whether it's, the BBC, Richard Attenborough doing a wildlife video, I can't imagine how much dead time those guys have for that fantastic videography they get. It's unbelievable what they do. Yeah, they've been busted at it. Antique Roadshow got busted at it. That storage war got busted at it. I mean, I don't think you should be doing it. I mean, these Alaskan people got busted with bullshit. They living out in the cold or whatever it is. The only ones you can count on is being legitimate, low-life, white trash scumbags that are drug addicted, thieves, philanderers, perverts, is those crab fishermen. World's deadliest jobs or whatever they call it. That's Sig Hansen. He's a fucking pervert. Look up his name. They're always finding about 10% of their working crew dead in a hotel room someplace between crab seasons, although they've been canceled now, so they'll probably be knocking off more than that. But you talk about a bunch of law-breaking dirtbags. The reason they're on those crab boats is because nobody else will hire them. They're all convicted felons. Yeah, I don't know if Pawn Stars got nailed or what. I met that guy one time, talked to him for about a half hour. That not Pawn Stars, but that one in the same company that produced Jerry Springer did it. That Les up at that place up in Detroit, over near 7 Mile and Ryan or whatever it was. He's actually a pretty nice guy. I think they did get accused of faking some stuff, but you'd sit in. What would happen on a pawn thing is you get people all day long bringing in bottle caps and used sneakers and all sorts of shit nobody cares about. The show is predicated on the oh wow factor, whether it's a Lincoln thing or a Matthew Brady photograph or something like that. So to actually produce a show here and there, as you guys know already, I've mentioned it before, that Dr. Phil's producer called me and wanted me to bring Maddie and Gerald out there. Well, I know what a clown show that is, so I didn't want to do it. But I didn't think it was up to me to answer for them, so I called Maddie and Gerald and gave them her number and everything. The producer's actually a nice lady. And, part of the conversation was, how when you're trying to come up with shows, especially after you've been on the air for a million years like Dr. Phil, it gets slim pickings. And how she found me was scrolling through the internet. And, Maddie's got a pretty good draw. I mean, she's an interesting subject. And then saw who did the videos and thought they'd do a show about it. Well, early on, they said that they decided about a year ago they're not going to do any more rehab because it doesn't do any good. So I thought right then, I didn't think that was a good enough reason to be on the show anyway. And I thought, well, if you're not going to do any rehab other than a clown show, why would I go out there? I mean, for what? Views or some stupid shit like that? Subscribers? That's why I didn't want to do it. And I could just imagine, I think if Dr. Phil brought up some shit, thinking it was, to make the show interesting, like these Judge Judy and stuff does. Like, well, Tom, I want to ask you something. It's like, yeah, what's that? It's like some of these women are coming up missing and you're an older guy. You having sex with, I'd probably knock that motherfucker out right on the show. So that was another thing that was in the back of my mind. So I just didn't want it to turn into be a big clown show. Yeah, I know better. And Gerald was supposedly going to call him, but what finally I think could have been a problem, and he didn't do it. So, whatever. I don't want to be on any TV shows, interviews, nothing. When that Jennifer killed her baby in Detroit, they tried doing that too. When that Monica came up missing, they wanted to interview. Not happening. There's no good that comes out of talking to these people. And sure enough, in that Jennifer, they made out, the headlines, baby killing, prostitute, just like I thought they would. It's a pleasure to tell them to piss up a rope. Because they think for sure that you're going to want to be on there. Dr. Phil sucks. He's an unethical scumbag, too. He got his license taken away, as a therapist for banging patients. Did you know that? Look it up. And he also got in more trouble for presenting himself as a therapist when that Britney Spears was about ready to blow her head off. He'll do anything for ratings, too. I think if he really wants some good ratings, he needs to bring that plain Jane wife of his without makeup on. I'd even watch that show. I don't watch any of that stupid shit. Now, I did talk to Jerry Springer a couple times. Actually, I know a girl that was a babysitter of his daughter when I was living there, Katie. And believe it or not, Jerry Springer's a very popular, likable guy. Everybody likes him. Unrelated to that show, he's just a super good guy. He's always doing stuff for charity. But now the show is a different deal. And I also used to run into that Steve Wilkos a lot. I never talked to him, the security guy that has his own show now. But he lived in the same neighborhood because I'd see him around all the time. I don't really know where. Yeah, he was banging him. Look it up. Yeah, he got his license taken. You know how he got on TV, don't you? Oprah ran her mouth one time about what a bunch of scumbags the Texas cattle meat producers were. And there were some derogatory comments she made about him, and they sued her. And they sued her in Texas in federal court. So, that's big beef country, right? So, she had enough brains to go out and get a good Jewish attorney. And he probably said, hey, look, I can't guarantee you the outcome of this stuff. We got to pull out all the stops. And, these are pro, meat, because the price of meat dropped after she shot her mouth off. So during that litigation, before, during the discovery, before it was going to trial, Dr. Phil, since he was kicked out of being a psychologist, was a jury consultant, which meant that, when you had a big trial coming up, you'd hire him and he'd go out and get the skinny on the jurors and see if you'd use your preemptive challenges or not to get him kicked off. And that's how he met Oprah. And then Oprah thought, hey, this bullshitter could probably make me some money. And she was right. But he's a total shitbag as a person. Why? If you don't believe me, look up. It's on YouTube, but when he interviewed Shelley Duvall, what a scumbag. And this guy claims to be some kind of mental health practitioner at one time. He'd do anything for ratings. No, he got into it for having sex with one of the people he was giving therapy to. Keep looking. It's out there. Yeah. Yeah, Jerry's a smart Jew. He's got a law degree. He used to be the mayor of Cincinnati. He was a successful guy before that show ever started. No, extra Oprah's. I don't think she could do it again, though. That's one of those anomalies that, I'll give you an example. I know this guy. Not well, but if he saw me, he'd say, hi, Tom. We'd talk for 5 minutes. And it's the guy that was on The Voice, Laith El-Saadi. A-L-S-A-A-D-I. Just a killer guitar player. And he was runner-up on that damn show. And he got screwed out of the Guitar Center, had a national contest. He took runner-up on that too. And I know why. Because, that's a money-making venture too. That's kind of like the minor leagues of pushing someone and getting them successful, like they've done with this, who's this chunky singer that has her own talk show now? It's just a miracle. Elton John. My point is with Laith El-Saadi, he's not good looking enough. He's not very particularly charming. All he can do is shred a guitar. He's overweight, he's bald, and he has an Arabic last name. That's not what sells. And if you listen to him and you watch some of his concerts, he does very well. But even after being on The View, I looked on his itinerary for upcoming shows. He doesn't have anything scheduled. And even after The View, he has some of these, God forbid, songs that he wrote. Makes you just want to cringe. He needs to stick with covers. And they've got like 50 views. He's just not marketable. I mentioned before, I learned when I was in Chicago that everything, I shouldn't say everything, but a majority of things are predicated on focus groups. Let's say Bopak and I decide to make dildos. We're not just going to haphazardly think how long they should be and what color they should be. We're going to go and we're going to hire places that do focus groups. And they're national companies. And what they do is they're going to go out and we're going to say, hey, we want to bring to market a big dildo. And we'd like you to do the data search for us. So they'll go out and they offer good money. It was $100 20 years ago. It's probably $300 now. They'll go up to the same people. They'll go up to people, random people coming out of Walmart, wherever, anywhere you could go. And they'll say, hey, we're a focus group company, and this happens to be adult oriented. We'd be willing to give you and they give you cash too, no check. We'd be willing to give you $300 cash for your opinion on, in this case, an adult themed item that we're considering. Well, everybody says, hell yeah. Even in an affluent area like where I lived, and 300 cash for 20 minutes work, why not? And then you sit down and they have, experts, educated people with advanced degrees that crunch data, and they come up with 30 questions about dildos. The kind you like, the kind your friend told you they liked. Are they too big? Are they too small? What color are they in? And in about 2 months, for 50 grand or 100 grand, it's a lot they charge. They send you a report, and you've got data in front of you on the most likely success of a particular dildo to market. How long, what color, whether it vibrates or not, what price you charge for it, where you market it, is it to men and women, just women, blah, blah, blah. And that's how everything is done. And once in a while, someone will go stick their head on a chopping block because they don't want to get accused of being discriminating in the sense of what people look like or their race or whatever. That's how you get a Susan Boyle, a Laith El Saudi. Once in a while, they'll throw a ringer in there. So when they get accused of just having beautiful people on the show, they say, hey, wait a second. Look at Susan Boyle and look at Laith El Saudi. What the fuck are you talking about? That's how it happens. But more importantly is how those people, by and large, don't make it commercially. It's the same reason you don't see 550-pound anchors on your local television shows. It matters. I'm not saying you can't have the best weather forecaster in the world that isn't attractive, but by and large, in general, it's pretty evident on the formula. You put your best foot forward. You stack the deck as good as you could. And even then, it doesn't make it sometimes. Hey, Alethea. Yeah, but the stuff isn't just like they know exactly what's what. That's why when McDonald's brings out a new product, when Walmart decides, are we going to keep selling guns or not? Focus groups. When they decide to come out with a new chicken salad. Oh, by the way, they do it with tasting things too. I went to one that was Jell-O, believe it or not. Another one, I'm not saying this is the rule, but for whatever reason, all the guys that I knew were gay in Chicago. It was all gay guys that owned these focus groups. And they did very well. I mean, these guys made crazy money. But I went to one. They were kind of lazy, and they were always out partying, big drinkers. And I think they came to me because I'd run into them in the health club all the time. They'd say, hey, we need someone to come over and taste Jell-O or give an opinion. Anything you can think of. You'd watch a 2-minute clip of a movie, interiors of cars, shoes, whatever, fishing lures. They'd ask you what the fishing lures, as you probably know this already, they are designed for people to buy. What you think a fish will bite as opposed to what a fish bites. I'm not saying there isn't some science behind, what the fish bite. But by and large, I mean, if you look at lures in the sporting goods section, you show me the last time you saw anything in the natural world that looked like a lure other than a rubber worm. I mean, these things got propellers on them and eyeballs that light up and stripes you'd never see. It's marketing to the dumbass buying them. Yep, shows move. You're right, David. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I had a buddy of mine, as I've mentioned this, if you've been around a while. He modeled full time, and we hung around. He played on the same basketball team that I did, and we hung around a lot. And we were walking down Rush Street one time in Chicago. These gay guys walked past us and then came back and said, "Hey, would you be interested in being on a reality show?" And he said, "Well, what's it entail?" He said, "Well, the winner wins 50 grand." He said, "Fuck yeah." It was in LA. It was Fear Factor. It was like the third episode of Fear Factor. He didn't even need to audition for the thing. So he goes out to LA, and it's him and however many people on the show, 6 people or whatever. As it turns out, most of the recruiting for Fear Factor was done through modeling agencies. And it wasn't because of your talents, it was because of the way you looked. And if you ever watched Fear Factor, it was like good-looking people, guys and the girls, right? Well, Chad, once again, focus groups. They probably, I don't know this for sure, but they did you can look it up, Chad Harper. It was like the third thing of Fear Factor. You can look it up. They'll do focus groups, like, and they're not going to say this is Fear Factor. Who do you find attractive? If you were going to pick an ad campaign, and I'm sure he won the damn thing. He was on RuPaul and a couple other shows, right? And sure as shit, and let me tell you how I know this is real. Because Chad actually fucked up the part where you took this race car and you ran up like half a ramp and it turned over. He should have lost, but he didn't. They retaped it so he won. So Chad ended up winning the $50,000, which he promptly blew on Texas Hold'em in Las Vegas over a 7-week period. But during that time, you're hanging out there with all these models and stuff, and that's how I know, because he actually knew a couple of them from photo shoots and other stuff. And you can always find a bullshitter as a model, too. He actually did print ads for a while for Walmart. Everybody claims they're a model. It's a big scam. I know that scam, too, how they set it up. They appeal to parents' egos, whatever. But if you're not in Milan, Miami, or New York, you're not really a model. Those are the people that actually make a good living doing it. For every Giselle that Tom Brady married, there's 100,000 people out there getting pretty good money, but for part-time jobs, maybe 3 times a year. It's not what you're thinking. Print modeling is a world away from runway modeling. Hey, Simka. Hey, Martin. Yeah, it's so far away, but there's about 6 big agencies. I know Chad was through Arlene Wilson when he was in Chicago. There were about 3 of them competing all the time. All gay guys running them. Yeah, you got to be tall. Yeah, usually you have to be tall. That's true. Yeah, that's why when you hear people, I'm not knocking her. I like Maddie, right? You've never heard me say anything negative about her. But believe me, Maddie is not model quality. Not at all. Yeah, tall and skinny. He did some print modeling for, I think, Jordache jeans. And they want you to at the time, it was that real skinny, sick look. For whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, the theory behind that is that supposedly clothes look better on tall, slim people. And even back then, this was like 98, 2000, they were airbrushing out tattoos. So it shows you how things have changed. I can remember back then, you couldn't get hired at some airlines, or you couldn't be in law enforcement if you had a tattoo. Daisy could model some of Dad's haircuts. Well, I'm gonna run in here real quick, see if I can schedule or get this booster. Days, could you move over, hon? Could you get over, honey, please? You move over. Can you move over, honey? Get over there, hon. Please? Can you get over there, honey? Please move over. You get over here? Come on over here, hon. You get over there? Oh, that's probably a good idea. Come on, honey. Get over there. Can you get over there, please, honey? Don't be so lazy, hon. You get over there, honey? You get over there, hon? Thank you, hon. I'm gonna throw away my dog food bag. Well, I'll be right back. About 5 minutes. Unless I get the shot. You guys can party. I'll be right back, hon. I'll be right back, honey. Party. Dad be partying with you, hon. I'll be right back, honey. just be kicking it. I just be kicking it. Yeah, I got the booster shot. Can you believe it? No appointment, nothing. Just tripping. Yeah, I had, you know, for a while, this rheumatologist thought that I had some kind of autoimmune disease that they couldn't identify. So I went on that Humira. Let's see, was it Humira? No, Enbrel. I went on Enbrel. And the first day I shot that shit, the next morning I had shingles from hell. I'm not kidding you, man. It was like a bitch. So, if you read the data, the likelihood of me without a compromised immune system, which those biologic drugs do, getting shingles is pretty low. So, unless I look at the odds, I'm a gambler. I just try not to get vaccinations where the benefit doesn't greatly outweigh the downside. So, I'm going to hold off on that shingles. You know, one of my arms is on fire. You can say I told you so. Yeah, I got it the next day. Of course, that's one of the things they warn you about. It compromises your immune system. But at the time, they thought it'd work. I was on that shit for 2 months and I didn't even need it. $6,000 a month, which was paid for. Let me tell you here, I'll tell you another little story too. So at the time, I had insurance, which paid for all of this Enbrel. And the deal, and you guys, if you've gotten these pharmaceuticals mailed to you, I can't think of the name of the company right now, but they mail them to you. And it's cheaper, and it's a pain in the ass. But, you know, it benefits them, not you. Well, that has to be refrigerated and all this bullshit. Well, I knew how much it cost, and the rheumatologist was telling me about these horror stories with people that were kind of in between. They had insurance, but it didn't really cover the cost of those biologics. They didn't qualify for Medicaid. They weren't old enough for Medicare. And they just basically were in kind of a position where they needed the drug but couldn't afford it. And I thought to myself, well, fuck it. I'll just stock up on this shit and give it to the University of Michigan. So I did. I got 12. They kept mailing it to me, and I never told them to quit. And I did everything right. I refrigerated and all that stuff. So I had 3 months, 12 shots of Enbrel, which retail would have been about 18 grand. So I tell the rheumatologist, I said, hey, I got 3 months worth of this shit to one of these patients you were telling me about. Now, how about if I just put it in a cooler and I'll bring it down here? I don't need it. You know, as it turns out, I didn't have what they thought they had, and in a guessing game, the Enbrel didn't do any good, so it ruled out what they thought it might help, even though my markers were low. It didn't make a lot of inflammatory markers. Didn't make a lot of sense, but you know, that's why I go to a doctor. So anyway, believe it or not, I bring it down to ice chest. They take it. They go take it away. Thank me very much. I'm talking to a girl. I kind of made friends with her. We kept in touch outside of the clinic. And, you know, that damn Enbrel was taken to the pharmacy and sold. It was sold. Now, it would even made sense if somebody said, hey, we don't know where this shit was. We don't know if it was exposed to heat. Let's just throw it away. You know, it was nice of him to do, but we're not taking a chance on this. She said it was absolutely sold. Isn't that unbelievable? I don't think it is legal, but maybe it is. I don't know. Isn't that crazy? Now, I suppose there's a remote chance that she's full of shit, but there was no motive for her to lie. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've had other stuff like that happen before where you save things for people, or you just didn't want to throw it away, or stuff like that, and it bite me in the ass. It's the old adage, no good deed goes unpunished. There's an element of truth to that. Yeah, but I want to refer to it as a theory. It's not, but it's called being functionally uninsured. And you can, when you, this is what I've learned through these drug companies and doing research for other people, whether it's Enbrel, Humira, any of this bullshit. I mean, there's a host of drugs out there that cost up the ass. And these drug companies are experts at figuring out what you can afford to pay. And once I'm not talking about the retailer, the pharmacist. I'm talking about the manufacturer. And when you go to them directly and you're willing to, sign a penalty of perjury or an income tax return or whatever, and they understand that you just can't afford the medication, but you need it, they will give it to you for free. I've done it for 3 different people, 2 with Humira and 1 with Enbrel. Yeah, once you do that you can prove that you can't afford that medication under any coverage. Now, here's the odd thing is, really in a terrible, screwy way, the best pharmaceutical coverage you can have right now is being on Medicaid. You can get what's called being double certified, which means you get every drug in the world, even some of those super expensive experimental drugs, for free. No deductible, no nothing. But if you're working and you've got a 20% copay, or you haven't met your deductible, you're fucked. If you're rich, that's not a problem either. So currently in the United States, if you need an expensive drug, you're better off being broke and on Medicaid. You won't have any problem at all. No, Letha, there are ways to get it. No, I'll help you go through it if you want me to. There are ways to get that, I promise you. There are. Now, in fairness to these drug companies, a couple of years ago, it was $1 billion to bring drugs to market. Now it's more than that. I think it's like $1 billion too. So, I'm not one of these guys that, can't, the engineering these drugs to begin with. There wasn't any money in it. They wouldn't even be available. So these people that walk around saying they can't believe in the United States that somebody isn't given this for nothing, it just doesn't hold water. The cost to bring drugs to market, as I said, is crazy expensive. So I don't blame companies for charging for it. But I think these manufacturers are pretty damn good about deciphering who really needs it and who can't afford to pay and getting it to you anyway. Russia, China, places like that, they'll tell you tough shit. Too bad you got it. Yeah, the people in the middle are screwed. Can't get contact me for doors and bullshit on that. You won't believe it. I had a doctor call me about a week and a half ago because he was retiring. You'd think his staff would have known that. Evidently, he was in a specialty where they probably never messed with Medicare, which is why his staff didn't know about it. But there is so much bullshit connected to Medicare, the supplement, the prescription rider, blah, blah, blah. And there are all sorts of drugs out there, if you're middle class now, where it'll be cheaper for you to check no on insurance and pay for it yourself, because the fucking copay is going to be more than what they're going to charge you because you check no on insurance. And you know how it is. When you're not feeling good, the last thing you feel like doing is getting on and doing a bunch of research. Shit, you can barely drag your ass out of bed and check the mail and write out a check for your daily bills, let alone fucking around on the internet for 4 hours, jumping through all these hoops, trying to get some medication you desperately need. That's what social workers are supposed to do at big hospitals. But if you're going to a clinic or a satellite office, they don't have that. Yeah, but you can't compare us to Canada. They don't pay anything for it. And that's another thing that people don't really understand. You know, you'll hear people, oh, Canada, yeah, it's free. No, it's not free. If you're willing to be income taxed 50 to 55% a year, we'll get free medical too. It is not free. Look at Canada income tax. That's where they get the money for it. Yeah, get the infusion. Yeah, fuck yeah, man. I mean, it's the old, cliche. It sucks to be you. I mean, sometimes that's true. But you wouldn't think in a developed country in the West that it would suck to be middle class and you'd be better off being poor when you needed medical care. But you are. I'm telling you, these Medicare people got it fucking made. They don't spend any time researching anything. That's true, but almost always, anytime I've checked it out, it was elective surgery. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't life or death. And that is true. If you've got money over in Canada, the waiting list is a bitch sometimes. And that's why people pay to have their own procedures done. You know where you can get pretty reasonable surgery, elective, like plastic surgery, or medicinal stuff that you really need is some of these Asian countries like Thailand and stuff. They actually charter airplanes out of big cities like New York, Philadelphia, LA. A whole fucking plane load of people over that want to get their tits raised and made bigger. They will. They'll pay for the airfare. And you'll pay out of your pocket for the procedure, but it's way cheaper. I mean, there's certain pitfalls that come along with developed countries. And one of that is high expenses. They do that, but by and large, if you looked at all the data and you needed medical care, you're still better off being Canadian. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, I mean, it's the most ass-backward thing in the world. I'll tell you, now, I don't know if this is true, and I hope that it's not. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. His sister-in-law and his nieces both went to pharmacy school. They went to different schools, not that that matters. And the deal was the parents paid for the undergraduate degrees, and they had to pay for the pharmacy school, which is super expensive. And one's working for the CDC, and the other one's working for some other fucking place. Now, the CDC one started out at about 120 grand, and the one that went to a private thing started out at 145. It's a rural place where they can't get pharmacists to live. On a different note, what happens in a lot of these rural places if you're a professional orthopedic surgeon, whatever, neurosurgeon, ophthalmologist, any of those kind of guys, it's hard for them to get the wife to move to these rural areas where there's nothing to do, no shopping, no fine dining. Got to drive an hour and a half to go to a bookstore. That's why. But on these, what was I going to say? On these programs that are possible, it just seems to me that it's like backwards sometimes. Did you get any of that snow up there, Kevin? Hey, yeah, man, how you doing? What was I gonna say about that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what it was. These girls that went to pharmacy school. So he was telling me that even though they got good jobs and even though they have student debt that they can afford to pay back, that they have qualified to get some of this student loans wiped out. I thought, and I don't know why I thought this, whether I dreamed it up or whether I heard it someplace, was that you had to show a need, an ability to not be able to pay for it and live a decent life. Like you couldn't afford it. You couldn't pay your rent and your health insurance if you had to pay back all these student loans every month, which I can see happening, right? But I thought that there was some criteria to get the loan. But he's saying that these pharmacists that had the ability to pay back these loans are getting some of it waived just by virtue of that program being offered. Does anybody know anything about that? And that seems wrong to me. On the other hand, I can understand why the government doesn't want to base it on income, but shit, isn't the idea of borrowing money, paying it back? It got blocked, but I think they came up with a plan B. There's another program now. I haven't checked on that in about a week because I never, when I was going to college, I don't know I do know people that got student loans, but usually it was to go buy a car or something. It wasn't because they really needed money for tuition. Now that's different when you get into professional schools. I was just looking at some PhD programs at the University of Georgia. I mean, sometimes I think, I don't want to bust my ass too much in these final years. I mean, I am going to do some business things, but there's no fucking way I'm working full time. They can forget that. I don't give a shit how much it pays. I mean, Marty and I are going to do some investment things, but if it starts edging past 40 hours a week, I want out. I'm not doing it. I'm going to piss away these last years watching Pornhub, ordering and reading books, getting a Starbucks coffee every day, and fucking off. But once in a while, I think, well, maybe I'll just go into a graduate program, fuck around, something that interests me for the hell of it. But you know what? I'm not into like impressing anybody or jumping through any hoops. I'm not going to be running around, hey, I got a master's in this or a PhD. It's going to have to be something that would make better. It's not just for bragging rights. And I went through the whole graduate program catalog last night, laying in bed. And I couldn't find one fucking thing that really interested me that I could say that it was worth it. I really couldn't. And 80% of them just seemed like pure bullshit. I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell did these people, how do you ever get a job with this horse shit? Like, I like bugs and entomology, I'm fascinated. I've been into beekeeping big time. I've been reading about spiders. I read about snakes. I like all that shit, right? That's probably a little extreme. I think it's this fucking state trooper. But anyway, I looked at entomology, and then, I don't really want a job, which really kind of makes it more ridiculous. But I thought, I had an interest in like monarch butterflies, honeybees, not that much though, because they're all totally exploited. They shouldn't be over here anyway. They're non-indigenous. And then I thought, well, that's really overkill for just having an interest in that subject. Then I thought, well, what if I wanted to work part-time? I like insects, right? I decided about a month ago that I'm not kicking over red ant mounds anymore. I'm just not. I used to kick them over because they sting you and I just fuck them with them. It's stupid, really. But they got. I don't want to interfere with like a own small animal system like that. Just being a dick because they stung me 20 years ago. So anyway, I looked up. You know what these entomologists? What they usually get hired. Unless you're like go to a top flight program and get all A's, you're not going to get a job in that bullshit unless you want to teach. But that's the creme de la creme. There just aren't that many openings. Because you don't have that many people stupid enough to put that kind of effort into a fucking job that doesn't pay shit, if you can get one. But anyway, it said the majority of these people with these graduate degrees end up getting jobs at these fucking pesticide companies. For like removal of ants and whatever. Fuck that, man. I mean, I let flies out of the house without killing them. That'd be the last thing I'd want to do, is get a degree in the interest of animals. and just be put into this rabbit hole of this dickhead that goes around killing every spider he sees when I do the opposite for a paycheck. It's just nuts. I mean, there's people that have exterminators come in to kill non-venomous spiders. That's just insane. I would never do that. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's just nuts. Spraying wasps with this toxic shit. And then something eats the wasp. It's just crazy. That'd be the, yeah. Yeah, I do like Sault Ste. Marie. They got any snow on the ground up there? Yeah, Pornhub, definitely. You know, they just changed their layout now on that. I looked at it today. Now you get a bunch of small thumbnails instead of scrolling through a video at the time. You know, they had a thing happen where their payment method was stripped by MasterCard and Visa, and they just had a mass exodus because there's no way you can pay them now for like a private channel or anything. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, you should. Did you see any freighters while you were up there? See any freighters going through the locks? Is there any? There's no ice, I'm sure, either. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Like I've done this my whole life, ever since I was a kid, actually. I can remember, I didn't know what I was doing then. I probably don't know what I'm doing now. But I can remember as a kid cutting grass and stuff and taking the money and going buying birdseed, fish food and stuff. I've always kind of been like that. I'm gonna try and forget I got that booster so I don't develop some make-believe side effect tonight. Yeah, I had the sweetest girl give me my shot. I said, hey, are there any side effects? She said, no. She said, what is it you had in mind? I said, how about jacking off? She said, oh, no, it'll be fine. I said, that's why I go to my friendly Walmart. You people are so welcoming and friendly. Oh, okay. No, I didn't say it. I thought about it, though. Yeah, it's my left arm. I'm no dummy. She said to me, what? Yeah, sorry about that. Get buffering back there. No, I'm back now. That's a bad area there for about a mile and a half. Hey, yeah, man, how's that wrestling channel doing? Hey, Mystique. No, I didn't eat any turkey. Hey, Rita. I mention this every time, but whoever in Georgia thought that you can just keep going on a right turn is a genius. That saves so much time. Hey, get a Mega Million tonight. It's like 300 million. Is that wrestling channel doing okay? Oh, okay, good. Good. It's going slow actually. It's going slow. You can't get these fuckers out here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anybody got a channel, man? Post your link if you want to. No, like when you get off the expressway, they have a stop. If you're going right, you can just keep on going, yield. And that saves so much traffic back up. Not here, it's not a big deal because, or maybe that's why it's like that, because it is rural. I know they're not everywhere, but they seem to be out around these areas, like between here and Atlanta. Just keep on trucking. Hell yeah. Nice. It's stupid to stop when you can see. That guy will get a ticket if a cop sees him doing that. These fuckers sit down here all the time, pulling people over for this bullshit. Yeah. Now when this thing buffers, it's tits up. So good talking to everybody. I got some kind of damn medical problem, man. I've had it forever. It's getting worse. Today it's pretty good. Some kind of digestive deal. I've researched the hell of it. I don't know what it is. But I gotta go see a specialist.